What is up, responsible day traders? It is Sunday. Today is Sunday, March 5th, 2023. I am Lindsay Duff, and this is Responsible Day Trading. I shouldn't get excited every time I get the date right, but I still do for some reason. All right, so the market has done something very interesting, and I'm really excited to look at it and see how it fits some previous patterns, but also be aware that it could, act differently and just be ready for those kind of things. Speaking of being ready, we do have the seminar coming up in April, so make sure that you're checking it out. You can go to info@responsibledaytrading.com, and we have a seminar if you're brand new to trading or if you've been with us for a while. So we're going to be running two simultaneously, so that should be a lot of fun. Also, I want you guys to know I may not be around next week. I do have some surgery coming up on Wednesday, and so I'm going to be out for a little bit. But I'm going to still be around. I will take my rest that I need, but I'll be available when I can. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead, check out the news, and then we're going to see what the market has done. All right, so we're going to head on over to responsibledaytrading.com. We're going to go to news here. We're going to drop down, and we're going to go to market news. Now, we have a little bit going on here. Nothing for Monday, but Tuesday, we do have 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. We've got some things going on. We do, when Powell speaks, sometimes it can make the market move. So we just want to make sure that we're paying attention for those things. Tuesday, we've got some high impact news. Wednesday, there's pre-market, and then half an hour after market opens and an hour after market opens. Thursday is pre-market and Friday's pre-market as well. So maybe it'll get this guy moving. I guess we'll have to see. All right, let's go ahead, check this out. We're going to start off right here on our daily chart. Now, what I want to look at is right here all the way to the right where we see this price action developing. So what we have seen here is pretty interesting, and I keep referencing back to this area because we do have a very similar look in the EMAs whenever that's happening. So we got back above, we pulled away, we tried to get up higher, didn't quite make it. The MACDs rolled inside of the Bollinger Bands and pushed it back down towards the EMAs and towards this area that had just been holding. Just looking at the possibilities of this pulling down a little bit further, pushing to this area and pushing up. Now, are we going to really anticipate it to push up? Let's talk a little bit more about how these areas are very, very similar. So we pulled up and we couldn't cross the top Bollinger Band. We really attempted to make a new high in the price. Neither happened, and it pushed down with strength. And both the price and the MACDs, with those weak EMAs, we knew it was going to be easy to get on the opposite side of them. Well, if you look right back here, we had strong move up. It pulled up when the price action pulled up here. Does it pull outside of the Bollinger Band? It didn't quite get inside, but it's that very weak movement that happens that we look for that change, okay? So that weak BB, that one blue BB that came up, and then it started pushing down with strength in the MACDs. Not a whole lot of strength in the price, but the EMAs were flat. So it was very easy to break back below. All right, so we attempted to pull away, and you can see this price bar in particular right here pulled away from the EMAs, and it snapped it back up. We didn't get a lot of action in the MACDs, very weak reaction to the upside, and it just created a nice big reversal bar and pushed down. So are we going to see that same kind of thing happen right here? It's pushed up, it's came back. It did make a little bit of an attempt to pull away from the EMAs here, and it's pushed up really hard, closed at the top even, like it did right here, closed at the top right after that pull away. And now we're gonna have to see what the next, 1 or 2 bars is going to do. The initial move inside of the Bollinger Bands looked like it had a little bit of strength. That second BB is going to give us some more information. So if this BB still keeps pushing up, we're going to anticipate this to keep working towards the upside. We are below the zero line, so, technically we'd be looking for this to attempt to push down. But is this area going to be strong enough to start pushing this information and moving this back up to the upside? So we really have to watch what the BBs tell us at that point. if that's going to continue to the upside, or if we're going to see something more along the lines like this. Just a very weak push up for a couple of BBs and then push down hard back to the downside. Something maybe like an M pivot to push it back down here, or maybe this is some sort of failed M pivot that moves up. So we're just going to have to watch and wait. I said it once, I'll say it a million times. I don't trade the daily chart. I use them to really anticipate the overall direction and momentum. Right now, the direction is technically still up. And why do I say that? Well, because we pulled away from the EMAs here. We pulled away and made new highs. We got back above the Bollinger Bands and above the zero line. Our direction was to the upside. In order to shift that back to the downside, we want to see not just this little tiny pull away, but we want to see pulling back down below it and pulling back up to the area. And that is going to really shift that direction back to the downside. So we're just going to have to watch, wait, and see. But let's go ahead and check out what the 28,657, this chart that we see right here, is telling us. Oh, I was looking at this a little bit earlier, and it's actually not what I anticipated to see in the BBs. It was very, very weak rolling up here, but it did look like it was going to attempt to roll up just a little bit more and continue up. We are so far from the zero line on the 28,657 that we could still see bounces and continuation up with these EMAs starting to really spread open to the upside. We have a lot of distance to travel back to them. We've got a lot of space here, a lot of distance. We have not technically created any kind of divergence on our 28,657. So I don't know if it is my optimism. I keep saying that, but I've really been anticipating this to push up, especially after seeing the way at the daily chart, it's just kind of resting in that area and attempting to push back up. The EMAs here are really starting to open up strong to the upside. That's a good sign that we could see more movement to the upside. The immediate is trying to make its way down, breaking below that bottom Bollinger Band here and making a little bit of a ceiling and pushing back down, but the overall is still up. That's really what's going on here and here also. Although we've shifted to the downside on the 233, that's going to happen. Now, looking at the 10,946, that last little bar of the day was so itty bitty tiny. That to me is like a good sign of a pullback, especially with the MACDs not really pushing through. Our first bar right here is showing strength to the downside. We've talked about this before. We know that we can get that kind of false sense of strength from that first bar, that opening bar of the day. So it has pulled back towards this area right in here. We've exceeded it by just a little bit. I really think the initial pullback is going to come back just a little bit deeper than where we are currently. We did have the white BBs here. We were struggling to make new highs in the 10,946. It broke inside, brought it back down below the bottom Bollinger Band, and these BBs just couldn't keep up to go to the upside. So it was a good sign of a pullback. And really, the last pullback that we saw to the EMAs was way back here. So we want to see a pullback. And the reason we want to see a pullback is we want lots of space to run to get to the next area. And we get that space by seeing these pullbacks happen. If I'm looking at my 1597, we've gotten back below the EMAs. We do still have technically some strength in the MACDs to the downside. It picked up really strong at first. It's that initial bounce down. We do still have some separation, and it is outside of the Bollinger Bands here, so that's the possibility for more down. Now, we did get a pullback, as we can see on the 233. We didn't cross the bottom Bollinger Band here. Reversal, but when we made these double bar reversals and it pushed up. So it was the anticipations to push back up right back into this area. What we want to see is, are these MACDs going to continue pushing up to show us that we can get through this area and then see these MACDs start to turn inside and push up to get us back up through this area? I don't think we're going to see that initially. Initially, I think we're going to see this push down just a little bit further. So our first few targets, actually our first target is right in this area, the 38, which is not going to be far from what we see happening right here. As this pulls back, these are the larger EMAs, so they're going to still push up just a little bit more. So it may even greet this area by the time it comes up there. Maybe, maybe not. but just something we like to look at and say, okay, what can we expect to happen? So as this is pulling back here, this is still going to pull up just a little bit more until some more bars are created to make this push back down. And once again, I do believe that we're going to see this pull down just a little bit more. This still has 1,300 ticks left in it, but right now the BB is really attempting to pull away. In all honesty, the last 50 ticks could completely shift that, and that BB could smash just right inside. But right now we're seeing this try to lead just a little bit lower here. BBs are attempting to make a rollover happen on the 233. We are still pulling outside of the Bollinger Bands here. And even though it's overnight material, it is a little hard to deny the strength of that BB to the downside currently. There's about 2,500 ticks left, so that also could pull back just a little bit in that time if it decides that it wants to push up from here. I'm just watching this a little bit because I want to kind of bring in the importance of watching those tick counters count down. You can see it was starting to make that purple BB here, and now it's starting to pull back up. You can see the change that happened in the BB here so far, and it could still change again and push back down. But right now it's starting to weaken and pull back in just a little bit. And we still have a lot of strength going on here, but we can see it's pulled back just a little bit more. So that's one of the really big important things about waiting for these tick counters to count down, realizing where the price bar is going to close and realizing where that MACD BB is going to land. And sometimes that means that it's too big by the time that moves to get into a trade, and that's okay. You just let that one go and you wait for the next one. I really just want to let this one bar in the 1597 count down because I really want to see where this BB lands so we can have a little bit of a lesson over this. I love that these had pulled up with strength, but here's that area we talked about, that area of the EMA here, the area of the EMA here. Is it going to break through there and continue up? We're going to have to see these MACDs stay strong up, and we're really going to have to see these roll, and we're going to have to see these start to weaken as well. Well, I was going to wait for this to count down, but I could sit here forever waiting for that since we've got such little movement going on right now on the market. So it is just 57 minutes after the market is opened. So there's not a lot of players in the game right now, but we know what we're looking for. Right now, the immediate direction is attempting to push to the downside. The overall direction is still up with a lot of strength. Even if we pulled down to right in here, we'd still have that overall direction with strength up. But we would want to see how the MACDs are reacting when we get to that area, because the MACDs help us determine if we're going to push through that area or if that area should hold. We'll be looking at that when we pull down to these areas, or if we pull down to those areas. If we see these areas hold and push it down just a little bit further, when it gets down to there, I'm going to have to anticipate, is this telling me that it should hold? Is it telling me that it should break? All right, my friends, that is going to wrap it up. Really, more than anything, just be careful whenever you're trading. I mean, I say that every time. Don't look at every bar as an opportunity. Sometimes people end up over trading because they're looking at it with fear and they're not happy with the decision they made before. So they just keep clicking the button saying, well, it must be going this way. Well, it must be going this way. And not every bar is an entry for a trade, okay? Sometimes the best thing to do is sit and wait. We work in a business that our best feature is just to be patient and just wait. Be patient for the entry and be patient for the exit as well. If you see it moving in your direction, don't exit because of fear. Exit because of something that you see happening that is telling you it's time to exit the trade. And what tells you that it's time to exit the trade? A pattern that is setting up that says, this has a good chance to push in the opposite direction. So it's like saying, every time I'm looking for an exit, there's an opportunity for an entry in the opposite direction. Now, do I take everyone like that? Absolutely not, because sometimes I get out early. And if I just turned it around every time, I'd probably get run over a bit. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and call it a day, my friends. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. If you're interested in joining in that seminar, once again, info@responsibledaytrading.com. I'll also have a link down below so that you can just check it out for yourself. And I really look forward to seeing you guys there. All right, guys, Have a wonderful week. And as always, you know that I look forward to catching you on the profitable side.